Hello and welcome back. It is Monday, January 23rd. Say hello, happy Monday. Make sure all systems are go. Alright, fantastic. Excuse me, good thing I got some water. Yeah, I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. I know I did. Monster trucks and all. We went and saw monster trucks. And I know the title for this lesson might be misleading. I need to be better at editing those, but that's why we're doing these every day. It's called Breaking the Ice, and just getting better as we go. Every day for a month, an hour, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Central. Uh, we today or so far we've done all the way from an intro to programming to some basic HTML stuff, CSS stuff, JavaScript stuff. We've made an extension and looked at some background tasks, and now we're getting into intro to game development. And this will be fun because it'll have a lot of elements with the canvas. We'll be working with the canvas and coloring and doing conditional statements. Hello, viewer. Thanks for tuning in. Great to see you. Say hello in the chat if you haven't already. It'd be nice to hear from you. Yeah, you tuned in at a good time. We're doing intro to game development where we will be working on, let's see, I think the whole project, I know I've said it a bunch of times, space game. I tried not to look at what space game is, but now maybe we can look at it and left blank purposefully. They didn't want me to look. Okay. Nice of them. Introduction to game development. Let's talk about it. Oh, so we're doing, what's this, Space Invaders? Yeah, classic Space Invaders. That's awesome. Am I allowed to say that without getting like a ding for copyright infringement? I didn't make the game. We'll be making it together. So build a space game, part 1 introduction. Cool. Pew pew. Looking forward to it. Pre-lecture quiz. What do they want us to know? JavaScript is an unpopular language for building games. I feel like that's a trick question because lots of game development does happen with JavaScript, but it's not the most popular. The most popular would be C# with Unity and their open source platform. That's really well, not open source, but enterprise software, game development toolkit stuff. Man, because I'm a web developer, I'm biased, and I want to say true. But if you look at the entire ecosystem, it's false. So let's lean false. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Unpopular. Said unpopular was false. So that means it is true? Okay. If you want to play games on the web, some JavaScript's going to get involved at some point, probably. PubSub is a referred pattern for managing the game's assets and flow. Pub is where you publish, and sub is where you subscribe. So I'm going to say yes, true, where you publish and you have a number of subscribers to those events. Okay, cool. No whammy so far. And object inheritance can be handled by either using classes or composition. I know it can be used with classes. I'm wondering what it means by composition, just like the fundamental syntax, like it's a JavaScript object or an array, because those can inherit. Oh, handled by either using. I'm gonna say true. Yes. Okay. All right. Hopefully, we learn some more about that. Yeah, it blasts right off with inheritance and composition because we already know what. Let's talk about what we already know about inheritance for a second. Inheritance is exactly like it sounds. It's like, what do I get from my ancestors? Yeah. What do they give to me? And so it's like, what did my great grandfather leave my grandfather, and what did he leave my father, and what did my father leave to me, and or and so on down. And what do I leave to my children too, like after me, and how many, and what do they leave on it, leave to them? And inheritance can take any a bunch of shapes, just like reality. What they mean by composition, but our best example that we've used so far in this lesson has been inheritance whenever we've been traversing the DOM, the document object model, and we've said like, okay, this element and maybe that child within that element needs to be styled like this. There are two major approaches. So, doesn't say one of the most has to do with design patterns. Design patterns, elements of reusable object-oriented software from 1994. Examples in C++, which was used to make JavaScript. Okay. In a game, you have game objects. They haven't even talked about this yet. You have game objects. They're giving like Cartesian coordinates, like X and Y, like Cartesian, like cartographer, like a map X and Y. As you develop a game, you will notice that all of your game objects have a standard property common for every game you create, namely elements that are location-based, movable, self-destructing, and have a cooldown. Okay, so you would make like a class for an object that does like all of these things no matter what, and then the graphic that represents it could be anything, right? Makes sense to me. And then these would all be variable, so expressing behavior. Think about a game like Pac-Man. For objects listed above in this class, like in Pac-Man, there would be the cherry, which is always at one point. It's not movable. It's at one point. It's not self-destructing, not until if the Pac-Man is on top of the cherry and they share the exact same coordinates, then it does destroy, and it will come back after the game is reset. So it meets all these conditions. Same with the ghosts that chase Pac-Man, and then sometimes Pac-Man chases, and all of the dots along the way. So we can express behavior through classes in conjunction with inheritance. So we have like a game object where we call a constructor, which takes an x, y, and type. So our Cartesian coordinates of x, y, and type. X is across, y up and down, type, what is it? And then we can extend that object where we invoke this constructor and call super, and then we move it around. All of this inside of this extendable object to where we make a new class called movable. So one is called movable, another is called hero, another is called like a tree. And after we've set up these classes, then we can say something like, whenever we make a new hero, he can start at 0, 0, excuse me, he can start at 0, 0, and then move to 5, 5. While if we make a new tree, it cannot. Because hero extends movable, while tree just extends the game object, which only has type. A composition. Now here it's going to explain the difference in composition. All right. A different way of handling inheritance is using composition. And objects express their behavior like this, where you have your game object is literally in an object, and then you add like a constant movable. Then you take that constant movable, open the object, and destructure each of them to where they're mutable and we're messing with the values inside of it. Then create a function to create a new hero. of that type, of that movable object, where you've passed this on and these are movable and include these. My head's starting to hurt. How about yours? And then we have a static object that inherits only the game object properties. I think it's proving a point that classes are easier to understand than this. It's up to you, though. It says JavaScript supports both these paradigms. Another pattern in game development is handling the game's user experience and performance, of course. PubSub stands for Publish Subscribe. How do we accomplish this? A message is usually sent out in a payload. The publisher publishes the message. The subscriber listens, such as like if you're listening for firing a laser. So you have like an event emitter of a constructor with this listener being an empty object. And when the message is received, on message and listener, kind of like a Boolean, a conditional value, then we would have this listener is assigned to this message and listener. Otherwise, though, if not, then it's still the empty. It's still an empty array, like it was empty whenever it began. And when a message is sent, send it with a listener and some payload, where we emit. To use the above code, we can create a very small implementation. For example, our hero moves left, and it moves left. And so it's constantly emitting that, and so it's continuously moving left, 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 left. And then we create the hero, and on emitter, we move left. How much should we go from 5.5 to 5.0? That makes sense, because you were 5.5. Now you're 5.0. So you've moved left. And then on the window, if you're on the window, you're at an event listener, where if you key up, then you'll subscribe to should say key left, didn't it? If key up, event key, arrow left. I guess this is whenever, so it's just looking for you to press a key. If it is that arrow left of the key up property, then it'll say move the hero left even more. Above, we connect the keyboard, arrow left, and send the hero left message. And we listen to that message and move the hero as a result. So should we have walked us through that, but is there a coding sample available on this? Yeah. Zoom out. Production, this is just README. Translations, assignment. No coding today? Just want us to talk about that? That was a lot of talk. Create a const. Because it hasn't talked about importing elements at all, or anything about open this file, copy paste that, I guess it decided it really needed to get these concepts out of the way. And good for them. That's cool. Classes are often taught. Like, if any boot camp you go to, they will teach you about classes. And you can do a lot in JavaScript without classes, but the people that do the excellent classes or excellent programming use classes and interfaces, and they know how to extend this stuff. Yeah. Whenever I was working in Web3 and doing decentralized stuff with JavaScript, they were inventing new kinds of JavaScript where it's not only inheritance, which is like you get everything, but like baggage, which is like you choose what comes with you, right? It was a whole new paradigm for JavaScript that they're working on, and that only comes about through setting up highly sophisticated sorts of relationships and APIs. No coding game. There's assignment. Let's do our post-lecture quiz if we're following this verbatim. Classes rely on inheritance to ascribe to behaviors. I guess. I mean, this ascribe word makes me leery, especially because engineers are so strictly typed, and I can't say I've ever used the word ascribe in a sentence in my entire life. They don't subscribe to behaviors, though, because it just comes with it. And a subscription is optional. That's another thing I've learned working with these high-minded people that actually invented this stuff. Think about the real meaning of the term. So a subscription is optional, while an inheritance is not. Like, no matter what, I'm going to get the hair and other features from my parents, right? So, true. Yeah, true. Okay, cool. Composition is the preferred design pattern for game objects. I mean, that's an awful big question. Did it say that verbatim? I haven't cheated yet once. I'm gonna look now. It doesn't say anything about preferred. I'm gonna say false then, because it explicitly said in the curriculum that like it's up to you how you want to do it. I know classes are very popular, and classes what they teach you as a entry level web developer, and then it's what you use as an intermediate web developer, and I can testify to that because I think I've been doing this for a while and I've never used it. Maybe I was used it by default, but more like functional programming. I don't know. I'm gonna say false because either's preferred. False. Okay, yeah. PubSub stands for publish subscribe. Yeah. Print staple no. Publish sanitize. All right. Publish subscribe. Good. You get the event emitter, and then it's emitting that event over and over again. All right. Oh, we didn't update log. Got right to this stuff. Okay. Um, Review and self-study. Maybe we'll move that into the middle from now on. Love to hear you in the chat where you would like to see the update logs in the beginning, or should we just dive right into this stuff? Review and self-study. Reading about what? Publisher, subscriber, pattern, message broker, output channel. Oh, looks dry. Okay. That looked like Azure specific content. What's our assignment? A mock-up game. Instructions. Using the code samples in the lesson, write a representation of a game you enjoy. It could be a simple one, but the goal is to either use the class or the composition pattern and the PubSub pattern to show how a game might launch. Get creative. 3 elements are placed on the screen and manipulated. 2 elements are placed on the screen. 1 element is placed on the screen and manipulated. So it says we can use it. Better. I don't know. We've never done the assignment before. We've always worked through this. It's always been the same thing. Now it's saying, hey, go back and refactor this code. I feel like that it's going to take a good 20 or 30 minutes. I don't think that, because we would need to assign an asset to this. We would need to import it into an index HTML. This is 30 minutes or an hour on itself. If somebody says in the chat, do it, we'll do it for overtime. We really will. But otherwise, I'm going to move on, and we're going to update some logs and then update our website. So what are we doing today? Dev, they do it in the chat, and I'll go back and I'll hack my way through that, and it'll be a live coding challenge. Otherwise, we're just on because we need to. Today is, we've got 4 of these. January 23rd. Right, I'll check. But we do the logs first. Lesson 15. And what did we talk about? We already have to look. Intro to game development. So it's just an introduction to game dev, where you use the composition pattern. So we said intro to game dev lecture. We did a lecture. We're updating logs now. Now we need to work on our home page. And what do we want to do on the home page? Let's look at some stuff. Homepage, I want to make this stuff wiggle a little bit. I feel like it's not a web developer's website unless it has some wiggle and a little bit of movement. The about page equally needs some styling. I think the privacy policy is probably the ugliest, but the contact page does work where I can say test, that was the last one, 25, and test from codingcurricula.com. Send, submit, your message has been sent. Thank you. That's what we want. We want a toast. We want a toast success message, and then we could also do some wiggle and icons on homepage, format about, format contact, and I have a server, and maybe we can even do some blog post fetching. Got some demo blog post content hanging out in that server and in the database. So this is going to be a blog eventually, and I want server-side rendering. I asked in the Twitter today, hey, what's the best React framework for it? Of course, I gave it a Google, but I wanted to ask the community, so please look us up on Twitter if you'd like to make a suggestion. But we're going to be doing some blog post fetching eventually, and maybe we get to that today. So yeah, not Friday update. We're going to say Monday update. Commit and push. How's that look? Outlet.com. Yeah, okay. So let's get to hacking on that. Where I didn't do a thing to the page over the weekend, I don't think. I did have to fix this server here. Where it was taking requests locally, but it wouldn't allow it to do from one live server to another live server without HTTPS. And my server is actually an AWS deployment. So it should be able to handle stuff for like a good long while maintaining that very cheap free tier, like only $3 a month. Again, let me know in the channel or on my Twitter if you'd like to see me display how I got my rocket test server.xyz/API health. And that should, I mean, honestly, this server should, I'm going to bulletproof it at some point, but this one server should carry me for years. It should be all that I need. But yeah. What do we need to do? So let's go ahead and open up this and say NPM Start so we can hack on this. Because we're good. The web page works pretty good right now. It's styled all right. It has all of the elements that we need to get cracking and make it something great. And it's so fortuitous. Like I've been looking at some of the other big names in the industry. Web Dev Simplified, Brad Traversy, trying to get inspiration from their sites. And Web Dev Simplified, I think he just redid his Web Dev Simplified, his website. Thought he had a redo. Like something. Never mind, maybe I'm thinking of something else. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool sites out there that it's a high bar that I'm looking forward to working towards and getting over. This is just the start. So that said, we definitely, what did we say? We definitely wanted to do. We definitely wanted to make a toast success message. Because right now, you send an email, That's kind of cool, but I mean, it might not send. Test 24, 26 from local React. Now that I've added CORS policy, no, probably gonna block it. Yeah. Okay. Well then maybe not the toast. How would we do? How would we be able to test the toast unless I spun up a local? Do I have a local instance? I think I do. Go NPM Start server 80. My cores look like cores will accept 1,000. So if I reroute this request from just that a const URL, make it local 88. That should be good. See what happens now. Or now it's a local instance of the email server and a local instance of the web page. Clear out all the junk and try again. Success. Okay, cool. Glad I figured that out. Now let's make a toast. How do we do toast? So we need to go to React Bootstrap toast. React Bootstrap example, basic example. Stacking toast. I don't want a stacking toast. I want a corner toast. Auto hide toast. So this is a whole component. All right. So start with basic. Do a basic toast. If we're gonna have to import an entire component, and why not start with basic? So component. We'll call this email toast.js. Basic example. Good presentation. Go to hello world. That's good enough for now. Whatever. Email form. Import it in. Import email toast from and directory. Save. And then instead of this alert, we'll do an email. Block that out. Save. Happens. And test with toast. No toast. Happen. Success. I got my object. Prototype. Is it expecting props to render? So it's probably because that toast about const set show by default show. So if true, then set show to true, and here I got it. And bottom side the form inside the container, email toast show set true, show true. About now. Fresh. There we. Oh, it's already on there. You don't want that. Let's back this out. So show. I don't think that's true. We'd want that to be true, right? True. Make that false. No. Not liking that. So what is it? Set show. I guess there's buttons that we would click on here. Hello world. But we only want you to show if show is true. So it's coming in with its own thing. So let's call this set ShowToast. Set ShowToast. Bet you that does nothing. Don't give me any of those. So let's actually make a ternary. ShowToast true. Show email toast. Not defined. Or is it looking for set show? Oh, ShowToast 35 toast. Okay, cool. So it's not there anymore because this is false by default. And if we go and make test with toast again, if we go and make a successful response, then boom, pops up. Awesome. And do we want a header on this? Oh. Now it's our time to pick which toast we want, because we got this rendered, right? We want the toggle show dismissible example. We want that, yeah. Alt. A lot better. Maybe not. A little more wild. Okay, cool. We're back. So set show A, set toggle show A. It's showing two at a time. Maybe we need to unplug this, or I'm getting a lot of emails. That's okay. It's good data. We're generating data for later on to be sorted and manipulated and render if we wanted. What happens with this toast? Here, let's just set this. We go to our email form because I don't want to have to keep doing this over and over again. So let's just set it true by default, and then it'll show the toasts. Cool. Okay. You can do an AB. See which one you like. I like the toast with animation. I definitely like the dismissible. So we have to refactor all of this where get rid of all of the toast B. 2 of them. Toast. Column. Column. We can get rid of an entire column. Okay, cool. There. I think we're good. We can get rid of the button. Where it's dismissible. And we can get rid of that. B, all the show B stuff. Header. Say email. So just say success. Success. All. How long ago? I don't know. For that. Success. Body. Your message was sent successfully. Thank you. Okay. Button. I think we can refactor all of these together. Column, row, and toast. Yeah. Little room right there. All of the show A stuff. Like show be just so synonymous with everything. Okay. Not bad. Not bad either. I put it at the top. I think we should put it at the top. Where we go back to our email form. This. That above. Form. Still in. All right. I knew we wanted that done. That's good. What else did we have to do? No. Maybe make this wiggle a little bit. So how would we do? Start by we can do it with some CSS. So you need to isolate this element right here. Select it. Have a class alt as an alt. That's good. What about a class? No class. No class whatsoever. Let's find it. That's going to be in our hero section. And we're going to give that style. Get some line styling there. Could just, but we'll say class name hero image. Say thing, but now we have a hero image name right here. Work with card, but hero image What do we want to do with it? I want it to wiggle. Make it wiggle left and right. Do it ChatGPT, or not ChatGPT, but animation wiggle. We would have to actually write this animation. So we got to go down here and yeah, wiggle animation. Frames. Okay. I mean, that's not so bad. Let's like that. All right. So what's happening, if you're not aware, we isolated the hero image and we use key value pair of animation and wiggle, which is a variable. I can name it wiggle often, wiggle a little. I can name it run, anything. How often do we want to call it? What is it? And infinite. So what happens if we call it every second? Every half second. It goes a lot quicker. Oh, a lot slower. And it runs pretty good. So what, it looks pretty smooth that way. Maybe even not just being. But so what's it doing is when we call this animation named wiggle, then it's going from 0% in the 0 pixel or the 0 position, and at 25%, like this is at how much of the animation is done. 0% of the animation is done, 25% of it's done. I could add more steps in between here, like 33%, and another one in here, you know, like 87. You get the point. But what happens is it's going like all the way from there to there, back and forth. So what would happen? Well, we want it to wiggle around in circle while it's going left and right, but also make it so width, call it 75% is relative. It's smaller. And now make it float around in circles. Which will probably just call another animation, but yeah. Now I guess these two animations are conflicting. But and then also we haven't written spin yet, so I'm wondering what is spin. Okay, that's a little crazy. What if we don't want it to go from 0 to 360? What if I just wanted to go from like 90 to 270? Flop that. 270 to 90. A little crazy too. What if I just wanted to go from 0 to 90? Zero to 90. So go minus 90. That's awful fast. If it wasn't so fast, maybe I might like it. I feel like it should be going left. So this is kind of what I wanted, but I wanted the head in one position. And then the almost like radar going around it. And we could definitely do that, but I don't know if we could do it yet. And wiggle, this wiggle's not doing anything, is it? Delete that zombie. What happens if we make it 50%? Ooh, No, not 550. Give it some padding. What's it? Margin 0 auto. That's put. I can't. Padding. So we need to get rid of this wiggle. That was fun while it lasted. 80 to 90. What about 180 to 180? That goes all the way around. Negative 180. 180. 0 goes from here. Where's the top of the set? Left. That's one. Okay. And then what about these icons right here? Each one of them, we want to give them a little animation too, where they kind of bounce up and down. So each one of those cards. We don't want that. We don't want the circle. On a little bounce animation. Bounce out. Is that it? Just gonna do it the once. I think we want to do a little. Then ease out. What do we say? Infinite. Like that. That's a little too much. 1. Make them float. How's that look? Is that hurting our heads yet? Look like I'm mobile. Could I get them to? So I would to make them kind of float like platforms. I don't like the whole block floating up and down like that in unison. I would have to like invoke the children or the nth element in each one to kind of get like a cascading ripple on them. I don't know if we'll have time for that today. What do I want? See if we can't make it a little more subtle. How about that? Where much is it? Going 10 pixels? That's too much. Make it 5 pixels. Make it 2. It doesn't hurt her head too much. This hurts her head. We need to make this a lot tighter. Go with negative 45 to 45. See what happens. And then it goes back again. So we should actually have this. I want it to go forward and back, like a ticking clock. So wouldn't we just add another 0%? Transform back to negative 45 degrees. It goes left. No. Oh, because this is the timing of it. So we would actually need it 50% transform and then go back. Cool. Okay. I like that a little bit better. It's a little smoother. kind of hanging. Let's maybe slow it down so it doesn't hurt our heads. Hero image. Give it like 4 seconds. 10 seconds. Okay. All this is kind of floating. Slow it down. One of our cards. Card elements. Yeah, that's not near as hectic. That's not near as okay. What's mobile look? Mobile will be famous last word. Mobile look. Is that okay? Now it's not folding. What happens if we go back to this image element? Bring it back up to 75. That's moving so much you can't even hardly notice the cards. It's almost hypnotic. I like it. Yeah. Now that it's bigger though, I think we need to make it a little bit tighter on that animation. Where are we at? Have the bounce, then call it from negative 30 to 30 back to negative 30. Okay. That might be 15, 15, 15. Okay, that's better. Now things are moving, it's just not hurting your head moving. Cool. Like maybe a professional web developer did this. All right. What's next? While we got a few minutes left, let's take an opportunity to straighten things out on our about page because right now they have been, or was it the privacy policies at worst? Doesn't have any of the rows or columns that we need with a privacy policy or with something rendering this much text. So let's take a look at it. If we go to privacy policy, blah, close that, but certainly. Maybe just say, hey, row, see what it gives us. Column, privacy policy, that's right. P, don't do that. No. Okay, we're gonna say that's all of that column. That's all of that column. Oh, what am I thinking? Close that column. Now do another row. Yeah. Another column. Another column. Another column, column. Up. Okay. Look before we save it. It was like that. Now it's like that. There's a couple of columns right here. What's it look like that? Okay. Maybe a touch better. Touch. Good. At least we're using the Bootstrap components, which will be super important later on whenever we bring in theming. Whenever we start applying the same colors to all of our elements and the same like styles, and we want things to look the same. Right now, this is like a work in progress as we're kind of figuring out what we want to add to it. And it really is a matter of just getting stuff into the right elements. That way, later on, we can say these columns and rows need to be like this, and it needs to fall in like that, and all the buttons need to be like the major buttons like this, the minor buttons like that, headings like this, etc. We don't need that right now. Oop, let's clean up this contact form because we did say where mail form by default is false. Oh, and maybe we need to handle for an error too, where there's been an error. We can do that for next time. I don't think we got a few minutes. Well, maybe we got time. Email toast. We'll call this success. Email toast. It's gonna crash on us. Let's open this up. Email toast. Show name home success. Email toast. Yes. Success. Email toast. Not gonna like this until we recompile. Clear all that, and then we can say fail email toast.js. Say all the same stuff, just no bueno. Fail us import. We call it fail email toast. Guess so. And show. We'd have to refactor counts. Show fail toast by default false, but if it's true, come down here, and if it has to log an error, show fail toast, show fail toast. Start. See plugs in. Seven. Oh, this. How do we make it fail? I did the wrong API address. Save. Yeah. Or nope. Well, we don't know because they're the same. Let's fail email test to say, well, yeah, your message failed, all caps, failed. So try that again. Reset. Message was sent successfully. Should have bounced on that. With that, we have a fun debugging session to tackle next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's our hour. We got a lot done where we learned about an intro to game development where we will probably be using classes. I know I'll be more comfortable with using classes, but maybe this will be our opportunity to stretch as learners and learn a little bit more. What else we got in store? For today was intro to game development. Tomorrow's drawing to the canvas. After that, we'll do some moving elements around. We've done that with vanilla JavaScript. Canvas is part of the web API, so that's different. Collision detection should be fun and keeping score. So, all right. Thank you so much. Happy Monday. I'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Thank you. Bye-bye.